The college football season is coming back, and we got you covered on every game. We're breaking it down on each snap all season long. Catch us every week starting on August 4th. Joe McGuire, Sean Scanlon, Jace Garcia, and yours truly, Obi Muniz, giving you the highlights, predictions, and current rankings. Visit our website at hhwshow.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's All Four Downs, part of the CMG Sports Podcast Network.
Clovercrest Media Group presents a CMG podcast. Keys to the City.
Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know.
Crossed up by Kobe, little floated to Shaq, and then Shaq goes like this, and the rest is history. Pay attention. Don't tell me what to do, devil woman. Speaking of those Lakers, hold on. But I didn't make my. I said Denver's gonna win. Yeah, you did. You said that. There's no other show like that. Clovercrest is doing great things right now.
Streaming everywhere.
The Giants are running New York like the Times as Danny is dropping all sorts of dimes. Saquon's thighs are ruining defenses' lives and Leonard Williams making opposing QBs feel him. Receivers think it's scary to line up across James Bradbury, and the Giants have a bright future led by Coach Judge, Jury, and Executioner. Tune in to Drawing About the GMen every Wednesday at 6, live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Drawing About the G-Men. I'm Big J, joined by Joe Guire, Sean Scanlon, and King Zay. And Monday night, it was an intense one. It was a close one. But sadly, the Giants came away with the L. Well, I mean, going into the 10-point favorite on the road to win by 3. Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses. But, I mean, we all see the holes in the Giants, and they've been pretty much the same holes all year long. But, I mean, to go out there and compete, I understand the Chiefs aren't the same Chiefs as last year. They're still coming off going to the Super Bowl and go on the road. Everyone thought this was going to be a get-right game for them. They were going to blow the Giants out. Giants came out and competed with, as banged up as they are. Daniel Jones, played great. You can argue he outplayed Patrick Mahomes. So, for all the Giants fans, this has to be the moment where the Daniel Jones slander has to stop. Because, like I said, he went out there and he went toe-for-toe. It was a heavyweight battle, and he went toe-for-toe with Patrick Mahomes. So, Joe, I know you're very upset, not as more upset than me. So, your thoughts coming out off that game?
They stink. This is just a bad team. This is a team that plays every week to not lose football games, and in doing so ends up handing the game over to their opponent. The Giants ran 56 plays in this game. The Chiefs ran 77. Give Pat Mahomes 77 chances against you, and you're going to lose. Everything I talked about last week, converting on third down, terrible. Getting off the field on third down, mediocre. Time of possession, destroyed. Got pressure on the quarterback. And then, look, again, the Joe Judge discipline. We're going to play smart, disciplined, back-to-basics football. When? When is that going to happen? These guys play stupid. He clearly doesn't have anybody's respect in that locker room. Every week, bonehead play after bonehead play. Elijah Penny, you get the ball 8 times a year. What are you celebrating? You didn't score a touchdown. This team plays undisciplined. If that's this guy's calling card, then he shouldn't be a head coach in the NFL, because I don't know what else he does. This was just another miserable, terrible loss, the kind that we've grown accustomed to. I talked about it the last couple weeks. This is a losing franchise. You throw the 4 Super Bowls out for the last 58 years. This is a terrible football team.
Yeah.
Every reason to win this game. And again, found a way to lose it. That's what losers do.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. But also, when you have a first-time coach like that, I understand that yes, like I get what you're saying. Discipline and all that stuff. That was his calling card. It's not. But you still have to learn how to win. And I mean, all these close games. You got a coach to
win, too.
No, yeah, you're right. And you got to learn how to do that. But, I mean, them being this close and when the stuff starts to go right,
all last year. They were close the year before.
But he hasn't learned yet. He hasn't learned how to win
Horseshoes and hand grenades.
I understand.
This is football.
Yes, but I see it. Like you said, the Giants, they haven't been that great besides the 4 Super Bowls. But when you got a team that's close like this, eventually when things start to click, yeah, I mean, in like 2 years, Elijah Penny's going to be like
by the way,
for Disney World.
On a personal note, with the Giants down like 9 deep in the wide receiver slot, all I needed Darius Slayton to do was make one catch to beat J.J. Vargas in fantasy. One catch. He didn't even get targeted.
He got targeted twice.
He did get targeted. He did get targeted. It was a pick.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, he's been so disappointing. I mean, the way him and
Good
Daniel
thing we
Jones
kept everybody at the trade deadline. That was brilliant.
Yeah, but I mean, back to my other point. I think this is a team that when stuff starts to go right for them, like this is a team that's going to be great. Like this is a team that will eventually, if you don't get too worried and you don't cut your nose off to spite your face, like I said a couple weeks ago, if you don't get scared, you throw out the coach. This team, they're competing in games, so when stuff starts to click, it's going to be one of those Super Bowl runs. Don't get me wrong, because this team it has all the talent there. It is just a coaching thing. And once Joe Judge learns how to coach well, learns how to win, I think this team is set. So I'm not as upset with this loss. Yes, I mean, you play to win the game, as Jared put. Yes, I mean, losses are despicable. But, I mean, if you don't see how close they are, yes, it sucks when you're this close and you have an ability to win the game. But eventually – something's going to have to turn right, and stuff's going to start clicking. And when it does, this Giants team is going to be phenomenal and great. And it might not be this year. It might be halfway through next year.
It's not this year.
It will happen, sure. And the Giants will be back towards that top. But, Sean, I mean, what did you think of that game?
I agree with Joe. I mean, this is just a team that finds ways to lose. I mean, I get what you're saying, Jace. They have been close. All of last year, there's so many games that they could have won. I mean, this year already with Washington, the Falcons, and now this week. But their bad teams find ways to lose. That's what the Giants have done. I mean, it comes down to the final 2 drives of the game. On offense, obviously, on defense, first of all, you get the pick by Darnay Holmes, which gets offsides by O'Shane Ximines. And that one I wasn't too upset about because it was a hard count. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is one of the best at drawing offsides in the league. Still, you have to watch the ball, not go offsides. But still, I mean, that negated an interception that could have gave us the ball in really good field position, which would have gave us either a field goal or maybe a touchdown. And then later in that drive, we get a face mask, 15 yards. So that ends up being a field goal when we easily could have gotten off the field or gotten the ball to the offense with good field position. And then the drive after that, once we get the ball back, down 3, they get 2 sacks and they violate our offensive line where, they're only sending 4-man rushes. The one time they sent the blitz on that drive, they didn't even get home. They got it with the 4-man rush 2 times. So the whole line held up pretty decent all game. And when it mattered most, they gave up 2 sacks in just times where you can't give them up. So stuff like that. And then, in the first half, I think it was our last possession of the first half when we have 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3, and Sterling Shepard is running a 1-yard route when it's a drive where I think it was 8 plays, 80-something yards. We drive right down the field, and then it comes to that play. Like, why is that the play call? I've seen it too many times, and I was listening to the Manning cast, and Michael Strahan, he asked the question. He says, why do these receivers run 1 or 2 yard routes when you have 3 or 4 yards to gain, and then right there it happens? So just inexcusable stuff that can't happen. I mean, Giants, they're in all these games except for a couple against the Rams and the Cowboys. But I mean, like Joe said, bad teams find ways to lose, and that's what the Giants are. The Giants are a bad team. So definitely a disappointing loss. I mean, it definitely could have been a win, but just another blown opportunity by the Giants this week.
Yeah, and I mean, talking about the play calling, yeah, those short little routes, I mean, it stinks. I mean, Daniel Jones was checking down a lot because, I mean, the Chiefs were playing over the top. Didn't want to get burned. So I kind of get it, but yeah, I get what you're saying. In situations, you need – Sterling Shepard is supposed to be one of those guys who knows where the first down marker always is and gets there. But, I mean – he just wasn't. And then also I think what was really terrible as far as play calling wise was not that last drive, the drive before that the Giants had right after they tied it up. And just that the 4 and out, or not a 4 and out, but just 3 straight passes. Devin Booker, I mean, he wasn't getting the ball that much. I mean, he was still dry. He still would get 3 yards. He averaged 4 yards per carry. He wasn't doing terrible, but and you still have time. You're supposed to eat up the clock here and get yourself in there for. So I say it week after week. I don't like Jason Garrett. I think he's the biggest glaring issue because, I mean, you got to run the ball there. Just set something up, even if it is getting 3 yards and making it a 3rd and 7 rather than a 3rd and 10. But I mean, Zay, I know you have been you were really adamant about how terrible Joe Judge was, especially with his timeouts in this game.
Completely. I'm not mad at the players at all. I think the players did the best they could with what they have. Obviously, every week we got a different offensive line, different guys sneaking in because we can't stay healthy. You got no receivers. You have no run game. You had no receivers. So the players did the best they could with what they had. So I can't be as much mad at the players as I am as the front office, the people up top. I can't get, whether it's a headset issue and you're not getting plays in, it's inexcusable to go both halves, to be at the end of both halves and have no timeouts at all. You put Daniel Jones in a very tough situation where now he has to drive the field, no timeouts, terrible offensive line against one of the best blitz calling defensive coordinators probably in the game. We know firsthand from the championships that he's helped us win. So obviously that was just a bad situation that you put your players in. And again, like I said, it comes down to Joe Judge. Whether you want to blame Jason Garrett and use him as the fall guy like everyone seems to be doing, Jason Garrett is calling what he can call with what he has at the end of the day. He doesn't have much. And you want to complain about the short routes? Well, tell them to block up front. They don't have enough time to, run these long, elaborated routes where players can get down the field. It just doesn't have the time for that. So he has to run some of these routes sometimes. He has to give them different looks and make them think differently because they have no run game and they have no deep pass game, obviously, because they can't block. So the Giants really have no other choice but to throw short, quick passes off the line. As far as, like I said, the front office has to change. I don't know what's going on here. They made no moves yesterday. I thought maybe after the loss, we'd be in a selling position. We seem to not even be in a selling or buy position. We just seem to be standing still, which doesn't make sense to me. Players I would have gotten rid of, like I said, Sterling Shepard would have been gone again. He's injured. Now cannot help us for another 2 to 3 weeks for as far as we can see. They don't know how far when he's going to come back. And then obviously there's Evan Ingram, who I would have got rid of. But it seems like the Giants might be just waiting for the summer to franchise tag him and keep him a little longer because they like to keep him part of their plans. So I don't know what's really going on with this franchise. I don't know which direction it's going in. But I will say, like I said, I'm on Jason's side with this. I'm not really as mad at the team as it can be because the team, they're doing what they can with what they have. They're coming out, they're performing every week the best they can. And the problem is they're just not prepared enough by the coaches. If the coaches have to do a better job of preparing these players to play, and that's really what it comes down to. They're not prepared to play. You see it every week.
Well, I mean, not being prepared to play and losing by 3, I mean, just think about when they do get that little extra prepared,
That's what I'm saying. You got guys who come in every week. You got a new offensive lineman, some new guy. He's not ready to play because, he for some reason, he doesn't know where he's supposed to be, or he's getting this penalty, or he's upfield early on a screen or RPO because these guys just aren't prepared. These guys that are just popping in, it just doesn't make sense. What are you doing? What are we practicing only with starters? Do backups not get reps in practice? I don't understand how this happens. It's like, Joe, there's too many penalties. It's unexcusable, no matter who you are.
Yeah, and I don't know that there's. I mean, the weaknesses are the same. They've been the same all year, pretty much. So, I mean, for it to be a 3-point game against the Chiefs, and you still have those weaknesses, if they get it back up, I think this team can really contend. But
let's be real easy on the Chiefs. This is not the same championship Chiefs team. This is not they didn't go out there and play the team that was going towards the championship 2 years in a row. This is a completely different Chiefs team. This is definitely a Chiefs team that's probably looking to redo things in the near future. I don't think this is the same team.
Well, I mean, speaking of redoing things, and you mentioned it, the trade deadline. Joe, are you surprised the Giants didn't make a move at all, or how do you feel about it?
No, I mean, listen, if there was a team that was going to double down on garbage and go for it all again next year, it's this team. So, no, I'm not shocked at all. Not shocked at all. And, you know, look, I think it's important to note that I read something earlier, Giants fans, that they were getting a third rounder for Evan Ingram. I'll take anything. Take anything for him. He's really played himself out of the offense. He doesn't have the trust of Daniel Jones. So now you're going to definitely have to address the tight end issue in the near future. Kyle Rudolph's okay, but you know, this isn't Kyle Rudolph from 6 years ago because that guy was pretty good. I don't know. Yeah. This team has pieces. There are things they could have done, you know, and really kind of focused on next year. But I think in their, I don't know.
No.
Blinders. It's blinders. I don't know what else to tell you. This is a team that can't look itself in the mirror and be like, we suck. We're this close. You're not this close. If you were this close, you would win a little bit more often than you're doing currently. They're the worst team. Record-wise, the worst for years now.
All right, but the thing.
All right, me. What do you mean, all right?
Office. Let me talk, and I can explain it. Okay, Joe?
You're all righting me. What are you all righting me for? No. I know I'm right.
My deal with the trade deadline is like what I said a couple weeks ago, like what Trevor said when he came on here. You keep half-assing a rebuild. I mean, if you're going to sell the guys that you can, get some picks, and actually do a rebuild. And give Joe Judge some time to figure things out. I mean, if you want to keep these guys and give Joe Judge some time to figure out, okay. But I mean, the thing with Ingram, like I know I've talked a lot of crap about him, but this year he's just not put in a position to succeed because he's being put as, just a normal tight end. Just a normal possession guy, running drag routes, running short stuff, and that's not what he is. He's one of the more athletic guys. He's a deep threat at tight end. There's no routes down the field that he's running, just like what you said with the Michael Strahan quote from the Manning cast. I mean, this guy is an actual playmaker. He's an athlete. Sometimes he drops the football, but sometimes he can still also make those plays down the field. But you're calling him to do short little drags, short little curls, and stuff like that. I mean, we were talking about it after posting up last night, Sean and Zay. I mean, thinking back to Daniel Jones's first game, Evan Ingram had that big crossing route for a touchdown. And you aren't seeing those same plays called for him. He's being a normal tight end, running the little spot, the little curl, the little drag for like 2-3 yards, and that's just not his game plan. But so while I don't like him, I think we should have gotten at least something for him. I get why he's not producing this year. But, Sean, I mean, were you at all surprised about the trade deadline, the Giants not doing anything, not making any moves at all?
I definitely would have made moves if I was the GM, but I'm not. So I'm not surprised knowing who was in that seat because, like Joe said, I think he's just content and thinks we're right there. I think he thinks that we're contenders and that we're building something here. And while we are close, while we do have some good young pieces, it's just we're miles away from being a top contender in the NFC or contending anywhere close to a Super Bowl contender, not even a playoff contender. So I definitely would have made some moves like you guys said. I mean, Evan Ingram, even if you can get a 4th or 5th round, because I don't even know if teams would give up a 3rd rounder for him now. He's not even a part of our offense. He's absolutely disappeared from this offense. Obviously, he had the touchdown, but that's his only catch of the game. And like Jay said, they don't utilize him correctly. He should be sending on crossing routes and seam routes because he is a tight end that could be a mismatch against some linebackers and safeties in coverage, but we don't utilize him to his strength. So I don't see why we kept on to him. I mean, he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. Could have got rid of some cap space. And if we're not going to bring him back, then why not get some compensation for him? But it doesn't make sense. I mean, there's some other guys. I know I kind of agree with Zay. I mean, Shepard definitely could have been dealt. Slayton could have been dealt. Like Joe said, I mean, he didn't even have a catch last night. So, and he should be he's one of our only healthy playmakers now. Kadarius Toney went out again. So did Shep. No Galladay, no Saquon. He's one of the only healthy starters, and he's not even producing. So I definitely could have got something for them, but I'm really not surprised because Gettleman thinks his team is right there with the Rams and the Bucks in his little fairy tale land, but we're just not there. So
they're not that far off. I'm not. They're not that far off. No, I wouldn't say they're that far off. And I wouldn't say they're that close. We have seen what this defense could be if they could get a pass rusher, and that offensive line could get healthy. If the team offense, matter of fact, could stay 75% healthy at least, I think the Giants, they'll be a contender in the NFC East. Like you said, I don't know if it's going to win the Super Bowl, but they'll be a good chance. They'll be in the playoff run. They have talent on that team. The roster is loaded with talent. The problem is the talent is underperforming. And again, there's still some missing key pieces. Like you said, we need a pass rusher, which we probably should have made a trade for. And we need a solid offensive line. And Evan Ingram is a playmaker. I agree with Jace. They should be throwing the ball down the field to him right now. If you're going to convince us Giants fans that we need to keep Evan Ingram, put his ass out there, all the way out there, and throw him the ball. He's the tallest guy, one of the tallest guys on the field. He's one of the fastest guys on the field. Treat him like a receiver until we get healthy. Show me what he has. Maybe you lost, because in my mind, if you lost all your trust in him last year, why is he still here? You have to do something. Put him on the field. Let him go down the field and catch some deep routes. See if he can be anything, worth anything for us. Because like I said, he will be getting franchised. I really do think he will be getting franchised.
I got to tell you, going into this season, still liked Evan Ingram. I said this last year. I mean, I thought I suggested that the Giants, when they were pretty bad last year before they went on their late run, that I thought Kyle Pitts might be a good pick for them. And they could move Ingram out to the slot and really utilize him like you see Travis Kelce and guys like that being utilized. So for the life of me, I wish I could understand why the Giants. I mean, I'm flustered and I'm bewildered because, again, it's like, dude, and I've been saying this for weeks. You got Daniel Jones, good-looking young quarterback. Why are you playing so conservative? Like, what do you have to lose with this guy? He's a playmaker. Let him make plays. I just, for the life of me, don't understand it. Again, how does Darius Slayton have 2 targets? Where's throwing the ball down the sideline to Slayton? Or to Joe Ross or anybody.
Well, he did throw the Ross down the field. Ross had the big catch down the field.
Yeah,
that was the big completion.
How about more Ross? My God.
More Jones? How about trusting Jones more? I think
that's what I'm saying. But again, Isaiah, this team, they coach this team like they're 6-2.
Mm-hmm.
Super conservative. Can't lose the game. You're not. You're the opposite of that record. You should be playing like the Chiefs play, with reckless abandon. You got to go for it. You got to believe in your team. You got to believe in your system. The Giants clearly don't. And again, the part that burns me up is when these idiots go on camera and they're like, nah, we're close. It's great. It's not. It's not.
Our headsets.
But even when they do the aggressive play. Like I said earlier, that second to last drive for the Giants, just three passes down the field. When you're in the middle of the field,
let me ask you
you're
this.
driving a little bit. You don't run the football once.
The last drive of the game.
Yeah, that was just.
Were you embarrassed? Were you embarrassed to be a Giants fan? Because I was.
Oh yeah.
You could have literally gone into the stands and found any 11 dudes, and they would have done the same thing. Not even gotten off a play. That was embarrassing. Again, goes to show this team isn't prepared. They're not. How do you not know how to run a 2-minute offense?
You have no timeout.
And every practice with that.
Hold on. You have no timeouts. You got no receivers. You have a banged up offensive line, and you have, like I said, one of the best defensive coordinators who are good at dialing up pressure. That's what's going to happen. You're not going to get get off plays, and that's why you run the quick plays.
Wasn't
on a 4-man rush, and you know what? Everybody else in the league would have got
more than 4 at the end of the game. They was bringing more than 4 at the end of the game. They was bringing extra, bro.
You had 2 sacks on the drive on 4-man rushes.
You had Chris Jones get back to turn on his clutch gene against 5 guys that in 2 seasons you could see working at like your hardware store down the street. That's the problem. I mean, you had one elite pass rusher going up against these bums on the O-line, and he was able to turn on the clutch gene and get after it. And I mean, you saw Nate Solder just get dumpster, like just fly. It was ridiculous.
Why is he still on the team?
You can say that was all on that O-line at the end. I mean, you can say what you want about the timeout management. You can put a little bit on that, but
that's everything. That's a little bit.
Listen, that doesn't affect the O-line's play, though.
Listen, between his non-working headset, his lack of discipline on this team. I mean, again, I ask all of you, what is it that Joe Judge has done well so far?
Made the run.
What has he done well? How has he changed the culture? How has he turned this team around? Anybody got anything they want to throw out there now? I'd love to hear it.
Compared to Shermer and McAdoo, he's doing leaps.
Those are not good examples.
I understand that.
2 first-time head coaches who didn't know squat. You're gonna compare him?
I mean,
yeah. At the end of last season, I thought Joe Judge was the guy. I thought that we had a couple wins at the end of the year. We were close in every single game, and I thought we were only going to go up from here. And I mean, he showed us a good first year. He didn't really have all these mismanagement with the clock and timeouts and stuff like that in his first year. There was actually a sign of hope for the Giants moving forward. And this year, it's literally just been all downhill. I mean, just terrible management with clocks and stuff like that and timeouts. I mean, he has much more talent this year, and they're not a better team. So I mean, you have a great point, Joe. He hasn't shown anything to really change his team around, and there's no one good thing you could point to where you say, hey, Joe Judge can, he's a great coach at doing this. So, I mean, I definitely had hope for him at the end of last year, but this year he's given us no reason to, think that he's going to be a great head coach moving forward. And it sucks. It's disappointing because we thought he was the guy. Like Jay said, I mean, after Shermer and McAdoo, we thought, hey, it can't get any worse. And I don't think he's been that bad yet, but it's definitely trending towards that direction right now.
The steps are going backwards. They're not going forward. I remember in December of 2012, the Giants got beat up by the Washington football team, and they had 9 penalties in that game. And afterwards, Coach Tom Coughlin described their performance as shockingly embarrassing. So to hear Joe Judge come out in a similar situation and to say, we're this close, is delusional and is not admitting reality.
But
deal with what you have. We have a discipline problem on this football team, and he's a disciplinarian, and there's no discipline. That's his big thing. So again, I ask you, what is he bringing to the table, Jace? Give me one thing.
I get what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, I think he needs a little bit more time to figure it out. He hasn't been a head coach, and I think
Well, I will sit in misery for the next couple seasons while he figures it out.
No, because I mean, with how competitive this team has been, he's still going to be here for a little bit longer. He ain't going
Let me ask
tomorrow.
you a question. When you say competitive, do you mean because they keep losing close games too?
Yeah, they're competing with
That's
teams.
not competitive.
That's competing in his eyes. That's competitive.
That's hanging. That's hanging around and not getting blown out. That's all it is. They've avoided getting blown out by mediocre teams.
No, I wouldn't say that because they were in a position to win on Monday. They could have won.
They're always in position to win.
They're always in positions to win.
No, the same hanging around. Teams are just putting up points and they're just scoring at the end and just keeping it close. No, the Giants are in positions to win some of these games. So
yes.
I agree with Jace. They're actually competing. There are some of these games that, like you said,
they can play with mediocre teams.
Is another win.
They can play and lose to the Falcons by a point. The Panthers a couple of years ago by a point. Eagles by a point. Hang with the Buccaneers by 2 points. I mean, come on. You tired of that? Aren't you tired of you got a team that's
because I understand there's a growing pains and there's a learning curve. And we're seeing it unfold.
This has been a pretty steady thing since 2017. I'll remind you it's the year 2011.
It's 2021.
2021.
I wish it was 2011.
Yeah, 2011, the good old days. There you go. That's what was on my mind. Thanks for correcting me, Isaiah.
But
this team, it's been, we sat through the 17, 18, 19, 20, miserably fell through 21. 5 years of we're turning it around. It's getting better. We're close. To watch this team go somewhere between 4-12 and 6-10 every single year. We're close. Okay, sure. We're patiently waiting. I've been as patient as anybody. I like Daniel Jones. I've been a Daniel Jones fan. I defend Saquon Barkley.
Look. The Giants fans.
I've been on Evan Ingram up until a few weeks ago. They need him now more than ever. Where is he?
But Giants fans were spoiled. I'm sorry.
Spoiled? We suck.
No,
we've convinced ourselves. We're the Steelers.
We suck. I will not argue with that. We suck currently right now. But if you would take almost any other team in the NFL, you go through their history, minus maybe a couple of teams, and you go through their history, a lot of them really suck too, and they don't have as many championships to show for it. So, I mean, we have to have
Give me an example.
To have two relative.
Give me a team that you're thinking about.
Cleveland Browns, the San Francisco 49ers. They've had good years.
Hold on. Let's start from scratch. The Giants, the Browns, and the Lions are the garbage franchises of the NFL.
To 2010, I think the 49ers maybe had 2 good seasons. You make that face, 2 or 3 good seasons.
They made the Super Bowl one year. They made their Super Bowl twice.
We made it 3 times. We won twice. And that's what I'm saying. We get a little spoiled
to the mid-90s. They had a dynasty
every decade.
Yeah, they have one of the best dynasties in football. I agree with the Browns. The Niners was a
you could take Indianapolis Colts. Other than the Peyton Manning years, what more do they really have? You can go through that whole franchise. You probably have to go back almost to Johnny Unitas.
Yes. See, when I was a kid, the Colts were a joke. The Colts, the Seahawks, jokes. Absolute joke.
The Patriots before Tom Brady were a joke of a franchise. So as I said,
now they have 6 Super Bowls.
If you take out every team, they have 6 Super Bowls. Yes,
and we're one of those franchises.
If you take out every team, almost every team, you could point out maybe 12 teams in this league, 12 to 15 teams who've just as bad as the Giants or worse when it comes to overall records.
But in the last 5 years, nobody comes close.
But the fact of the matter is, we have won a championship in every decade. We are spoiled that we.
Well, all of those teams that are on the top
suck for a while
and have those dynasties. How often are they switching through coaches in like 3 and 5 years? How often is that happening?
We don't. This is the first time we've ever done this much. The
I understand that. You got to build
like the Steelers. Another franchise who keeps coaches forever have been that way. Recently has been the only time the Giants have made this many turnovers at coach. We've never really done it this much before. I think we've probably had between 90 and 2000. Well, until Coughlin was gone, we probably had 4 or 5 coaches, I believe. I'm all right.
Oh, all right. But I mean, even. The thing with the Giants is, I mean, besides Parcells and Coughlin, then no one's been there longer than 6 years, and those are the only guys that won Super Bowls.
Again, I think the Giants
All right,
don't have
hold
that
on.
many coaches in their
I
history.
see Sander complaining right now about the fact that they've gone 25 years without a Super Bowl.
This is true.
But that's a team that wins like 11 games. A lot.
Wait a minute. Do you want to win the playoffs and go to the playoffs every year and lose in the first round? Would you prefer to go to the playoffs
11 games
and lose in
every
the
now and
first
again?
round every year?
Yes.
Well, I can't say every year, but majority
I want to start
of years.
by winning 11 games in a season, and then we'll talk about where we're going in the playoffs and what Super Bowls are happening.
I'm fine with a wild card team. My team wins wild card and they win the championship. I'm fine with it that way too. So
look, here's the thing: best case scenario this year. What do most people have the Giants pegged at? 9-8 if everything went well. Does that make you proud?
No, it doesn't. The Giants have never been a team to me, other than like I said, that one year they had 11 and 5.
Yeah, but why can't they
be? Huh?
Why can't they win more games? Why do you want the Giants to go 9-7?
Oh, again, you could be a franchise that has never seen your team win a championship and win 10 games a year. Which one do you want to be? Do you want to be the team that
I want to win 10 games a year?
No, I'd rather my team.
I'd rather do. But why can't we do both? Why can't we be a consistently good team every year and also have those championships in our back pockets? Like that's
because New York.
I want to do that.
New York will not do that. It's not going to happen.
You can keep just like doing this half-ass rebuild stuff. Like
again, dude. Here's the thing. You take out the 4 Super Bowls, and there's about what 5 playoff appearances in the last 30 years outside the Super Bowl championships. It's feast or famine. I don't like that. I think you could build something sustainable. I mean, Eli Manning was around for what, 15 years?
16, yeah,
something like that.
And think about the rotating cast of characters around him. What was the identity of the Giants?
In his career?
Yes, I mean, my goodness, some kind of consistency. Also, get an offense that's like, current.
Joe, you can't
play like everybody else.
Consistency and then want Garrett gone and Joe Judge gone. And
I want to get consistent after these idiots leave. They're not good, and they're not good.
Okay, but then the next guy comes in and struggles because he's got – I mean, it's the same team. And then, well,
you just said they're so talented that they should be great. Well, maybe a better coach with a healthy team could do something with them.
I agree. I'm not on the coach wagon. He's right.
Well, or a worse coach is going to get them.
Why would you hire a worse coach?
Look what they've done the past 3 times.
They've hired coaches with no experience. That's what they've done. That's the issue.
Maybe they do this. Instead of hiring a GM from the 50s, maybe you hire a GM who's fresh with some insight. And then maybe you go out and hire a veteran coach.
How about
maybe that would work?
The Giants just need a complete culture shift. You talk about a team, like you said, they preach discipline, and then you haven't been disciplined, but yet you traded probably your best weapon in the last 10 years because of discipline.
Call Tony Dungy and see if you can get him to come coach this football team.
There has been a culture shift with Judge. With Shermer and McAdoo, this team was quitting on. Players were quitting on this team left and right. They're shooting themselves in the foot, but they're competing in every game. That's because Joe Judge has this team
11-5.
That's something Ben McAdoo and Pat Shermer couldn't do.
McAdoo was bad. The team was still bad, and he went 11-5. That's what we're trying to get a point. You have a better team. You have a better roster now, and you can't get past 5 wins. This is part of the issue that Joe is pointing out. McAdoo is a worse coach who probably had a worse roster and found a way to go 11-5. So
you can't have it both ways, Jace. Thank you, Isaiah. You're right. It's either they're very talented and the coaching sucks, or the coaching is really good and the players are just good enough to win 2 games. So which is it?
I think it's.
I think this is a really talented team that's obviously hampered by injuries, but everybody's hampered by injuries. You got to figure out ways to win football games. When you coach to not lose, you're going to lose, especially when you're not used to pulling out wins, especially when you're too conservative with a quarterback who we're all still like, well, maybe, probably, let him go. Let him do it. I don't understand this.
All right, but I mean that comes back to a conversation we had weeks ago. Is that more on Garrett or Judge, the conservative play calling? Because it's more on Garrett.
On Jason Garrett, you could fire him too. Take him and Judge and fire them both.
How can you keep blaming Garrett? He got nothing to work with. He doesn't have healthy receivers. He doesn't have a healthy running back. He's got a different offensive line every week. He's calling what he can call.
Keeping them in games. He's not calling the right plays. And also, look at Dallas. Look at how Dallas has changed since Jason Garrett's out of there.
Dallas, again, is a different machine. Dallas has a great offensive line. The Giants have players like Matt Pert, who played last year, and still doesn't know what the hell he's doing out there when he gets on the field. It doesn't make sense. You can't have linemen who've been in the system for 2 and 3 years that don't know what they're doing. What is Shane Lemieux doing? He is terrible since he's got.
Are we talking about the coaching or the whole line?
And then he's been terrible since. You can't compare the
He hasn't played this year.
When they have a functional offensive line. They actually have a running back, and they probably have the best receiving core in the league. You can't compare them to the Giants.
Yeah, but Jason Garrett had that, and he didn't do anything.
Jason Garrett, you can get
with mediocrity.
Jason Garrett, that team made the playoffs when he was there. They made the playoffs numerous times under Jason Garrett as coach. Have been competing. We have not made the playoffs under Joe Judge. We have not.
Because we're in the middle of a rebuild.
How can you be? If anything, I hate to say it, Jason Garrett might be the better coaching option than Joe Judge. At least he has coaching experience. At least he knows what to do out there. He's taken a team to the playoffs. He's handled 2-minute situations. I'm sure Dak Prescott has 2-minute drive wins under Jason Garrett. Daniel Jones doesn't have a second half win, comeback win. He doesn't have it. I think he got one against the Buccaneers.
All right, but you said all these guys are out.
It was a shootout.
When you don't have anyone healthy, I mean that affects the quarterback a lot more than the play caller. So all right, let's move on. But we could talk about this for hours and hours.
The fact that the coaching needs to change, but they need to get healthy before they'll get better.
All right, let's talk about this week. Coming back to MetLife to take on the Raiders. I mean, this Raiders team, it's just wild. First of all, the John Gruden stuff. Now all the Henry Ruggs stuff. Losing your leading receiver. He's leading them in receiving yards right now to a DUI. And he might never play another down of football. Or at least on
the Cowboys will sign him. Don't worry.
That's what I was going to say. The Cowboys will sign him.
Probably.
You know you done messed up though when the Raiders cut you quick. You know what I mean? Because the Raiders are another trash organization. They don't generally care about that sort of thing. I was shocked that they cut him so quick.
He's doing 160 miles per hour.
I was surprised.
Wow. But Joe, can the Raiders rally around this like they rallied around John Gruden getting booted to pull off an emotional win against the Giants?
Well, listen, unlike the Chiefs, the Raiders are actually a good football team, and they have definitely responded under the adversity that they faced. And it seems as if they didn't skip a beat when Gruden left, and I don't think this Henry Ruggs thing is going to be a big problem because, see, what happens on other teams is when your star player is out, especially at a receiver spot, somebody else just steps in big. Somebody like Hunter Renfrow will step up and have a huge game. Because that's what other teams do. That's how you prepare your team. You have depth on your team so that when somebody else, because it's a violent game, guys get hurt a lot. You need to have depth and guys ready to go. The Raiders will do that because that's the kind of organization they're running.
That's an extra prepared little speech there, Joe. I'm not going to accept that.
It's not an extra prepared.
Yes, it is.
I'm simply saying that they'll respond the way they've been responding to adversity, whereas the Giants will have a couple of guys out and they'll fall apart like they always do.
Okay.
This is just an extension of the conversation we were just having, honestly.
All right. All right. Zay, can the Giants get the dub at home?
You won't believe it. I actually think they're going to win this. Believe it or not. And I just think in just Giants faction, they'll go out here and win a game they have no business winning at all. And they'll go out after last Monday where they probably should have won that game. They'll go out and win this game handily, probably knowing the Giants. But the Raiders will probably win this again.
You know what, Zay? It's funny you say that because I almost took the Raiders in my suicide pool for this week. And then I thought to myself, wouldn't it be just like the Giants to lose to the Chiefs and then go and beat the Raiders? That would happen to the Giants. That's definitely a Giants kind of thing. That's why I didn't take them in the suicide.
Yeah, no, it's a Giants type of thing, but I do think the Raiders will probably still win it because they're obviously a better overall team. Josh Jacobs is still playing great, and Derek Carr obviously is actually pretty good. You know, I was a huge David Carr fan, but Derek Carr is definitely he's going to join the ship too. He might get up there with Mike White.
He's definitely the best Carr. He's the best quarterback in the Carr family.
Hey, David Carr's got a Camaro
guy. David Carr's a Texas legend. I don't know what you're talking about, but anyway,
he got a ring with the Giants.
Yeah, he got one too.
That is true. But he named the other first round pick to get a ring in the past 20 years.
Eli,
first round pick quarterback.
I mean, first overall pick. That's my bad.
First overall pick quarterback to get a ring.
Eric Fisher. Sean, who's going to win this game?
Wait,
of course.
What team does he?
It's an O-line trivia question.
But the Chiefs.
I somewhat agree with Zay. I think that this is the time of year when the Giants are off to a terrible start after, it would be halfway through the season if we were in the 16-game season, but pretty much halfway through the season. And this is, it comes in November, and this is when the Giants start to win meaningless games when, it already should be, obviously teams don't want to tank, and I'm not a fan of tanking, but it should be a time when the Giants should just kind of lay back. I mean, all their players are injured anyways, but this is when they go out and win meaningless games. So I could see it happening. I think it's definitely going to be a close game. I think that Ruggs, I think it's going to hurt them because they have no other deep threat. Really, Hunter Renfrow is a good possession, third down guy, but they don't really have a lot of deep threats. Darren Waller's questionable right now, so I think this Raiders offense is going to suffer a little bit with no deep threat, especially Derek Carr being a good deep throw passer. So the only thing I'm really worried about is on the defense side of the ball for the Raiders is Yannick Ngakoue and Max Crosby. They've been really good pass rushing duo, and obviously, with Nate Solder and Matt Parrott out there, I don't trust those two guys, even though they've held up decent, except for that last drive against the Chiefs. So, but I think this Giants offense is going to have success. Other than that, I think that their secondary isn't that great. And as long as they get maybe Kadarius Toney back, maybe if Slayton learns how to play football again, that we can have some success on offense. So, and it's a game that the Raiders are obviously the better team, but this is just what the Giants do. I think they win meaningless games. So I think the Giants will actually pull it off. I'm kind of with Zay here, but I think it'll be a close game and the Giants will end up winning it. But who knows?
At this point, we're just being optimistic. I feel you, Sean.
It's just the Giants always do this every year. That in November, December, they win games where they have no business doing it after a terrible start, and then they end up getting into the mid 10s or a pick or draft pick around the 10s when they could easily have a top 3 or 5 pick. So it's what the Giants do.
We know what to do with it anyway. We take a running back who's never going to play.
Well,
probably
this game. It is winnable, and it's all going to come down to the O-line. Because like you said, Sean, Crosby and Ngakoue have been beastly. If they can keep Daniel Jones – I don't even think they necessarily need to keep Daniel Jones. I think they have to give Daniel Jones the green light to run a lot more. It's like you said weeks ago, Joe, Daniel Jones is a lot closer to Lamar Jackson than he is like a Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady. Because, this dude can run – They need to greenlight him on that a lot more because, especially last week, look, they definitely made it a focus to hit the check down guy. There were a lot of plays where Daniel Jones could have gone for more, but he just ended up hitting Devin Booker with the check down. So I think it's going to come down to Joe Judge and Jason Garrett making that a focus because I think, like I said, week 1, with the Ravens against the Raiders, Lamar Jackson was able to do his thing, even though they lost. But when your two best pass rushers are your edge rushers, and you can just have your tackles, they don't even need to be there. They just need to force them upfield. that creates lanes. And if Daniel Jones can read those lanes, pick them apart, he can get 5, 6, 7 yards at a time rushing, even more than 10. I think the Giants can hold on to the football, sustain drives, and get it going, and then eventually set up the plays through the air. But that's the key to the Giants winning this game, and I think they get it done. This has been a much different team than the Rams and Cowboys game. I think they continue the momentum. Yeah, it sucks. That game sucked last week, but they were supposed to go out there and lose by 10, and it was a 3-point game. So I think they still carry that momentum. I think they bring it to the Raiders at home, and they get the dub because you're losing your best wide receiver in the Raiders. You're losing your guy who's leading your team in receiving, and that's going to affect them. Yeah, Hunter Renfro's all right, but he's not a Henry Ruggs. He can't make the plays Henry Ruggs can. Can he do some great stuff in the red zone and stuff like that? Yeah, he can. But the only thing.
Are you trying to convince me that he's going to be a problem or that he's going to do well? I don't know what you're saying.
He can't make the same plays Henry Ruggs can. He can't make those big plays.
He doesn't have the explosive plays.
He's a great route runner. He can beat some guys here and there. But for the Raiders, I think the big thing is let Henry Ruggs has been their leading receiver. So if Derek Carr could get back to Darren Waller and get that going, I think it's going to be a long night for the Giants. But I think they can do that. I think they can hold down, slow it down. And Josh Jacobs, he's been banged up, but he's doing all right, but he isn't doing anything spectacular. So I think, like I said last week, and it almost came true, the Giants, they need to keep the Raiders to field goals. And I have faith on this offense to score on this Raiders defense. So they need to get into the end. The Giants need to get into the end zone and force the Raiders to kick field goals. And they win this game along with Daniel Jones run the football. Because that's something they've shied in.
Your game plan is limit them to field goals and risk your quarterback, who's just a concussion protocol 2 weeks ago. I love it. Let's just go out there and run him. Let's just go run him to death.
He's a beast. There's a reason why he's leading this team in rushing yards.
Yes, they stink.
Yeah, it's not a good thing that our quarterback leads the team in rushing yards. We point that out as a bad thing.
Are you going to put that against the Ravens?
It's a great compliment.
They're playing great football.
Yeah, we're talking again. When you talk about the Ravens and Lamar Jackson running, you're talking about a completely different style of running compared to Daniel Jones. Yeah. Daniel Jones is a more physical downhill. He likes to make contact. Lamar doesn't want to get hit. He likes to slide. He likes to make you list. It's a lot different. There's less risk on the Lamar Jackson side, in my opinion, because of his athleticism. Whereas Daniel Jones just takes too many hits. And that's why he was out with concussion protocol. So to put him in that position over and over again it's risky.
No, because, I don't want conservative play calling. I want them to call the plays to win the football game. And if Daniel Jones has to be mobile, Daniel Jones has to be able to run with it for us to win football games. That's plain and simple.
Can I tell you the difference, too, between Lamar Jackson and Daniel Jones? You mentioned they're both the leading rusher for their team. The difference is Lamar literally leads that team in rushing attempts as well. Daniel Jones is third on the Giants in rushing attempts. And
so imagine what he can do if he gets
what that speaks to is the fact that Barkley and Booker, who have more carries than him on the season, have combined really for garbage, and barely combined have more yards than does Daniel Jones, and have both rushed for the same amount of touchdowns as Daniel Jones. That's 2 for all of them on the ground. That's not good. It's not good at all.
But you bring up a good idea. I got an idea. We move Kadarius Toney to quarterback, Daniel Jones the running back, and we go from there. Because he threw a great pass last week. Why not?
Former quarterback, he threw a dot to Shepard.
A couple weeks ago, Dante Pettis threw a great pass.
Might as well try something new. Nothing's working anyways.
All right.
You didn't like it.
We're almost on an hour on the Giants. I know it's a Giants show, but we need to take a break, relax, and then come back and we'll recap a little bit of the trade deadline around the league. But first, here's a word from one of our sponsors.
It's been a pretty wet summer in Connecticut, and that means more mosquitoes than ever. If you didn't have your home service for mosquito control and find you're spending most of your time outside swatting those little pests, you are in luck. Mosquito Shield of Central Connecticut provides the best value in mosquito control services because of how they treat your yard using the Mosquito Shield tailored treatment system. They don't use a fixed schedule or an identical product, one-size-fits-all service program because you can't control mosquitoes on a set number of sprays or visits. Unlike the competition, Mosquito Shield of Central Connecticut will service you for the season, whatever it takes to provide superior results. This promise has awarded them an industry-leading consumer retention rating of 90%. Visit MosquitoShieldCT.com to schedule an appointment with Wade the Cesare and enjoy the rest of your summer mosquito-free.
That is Mosquito Shield. Make sure you check them out, MosquitoShieldCT.com. And if you tell them John about the GMen and Clovercrest Media sent you, they'll hook you up with a discount for this upcoming spring. And, boys, yesterday was the trade deadline. And, I mean, I know football trade deadline's pretty slow compared to the other sports. But also last night we just saw a team in the Atlanta Braves use the trade deadline to get to the World Series and win the World Series. And there was a team in the NFL that made a big move as the Los Angeles Rams traded for Von Miller. Joe, is this a trade that they can use like the Braves did to propel them to a Super Bowl?
Probably. I mean, I don't know. I feel like, first of all, kudos to the Rams for not caring about draft picks, because I think if you've watched any draft in the last 50 years, you'd understand that there are no guarantees. No, Zay, I'm with you there. I get it. I do get it. No, you're right. But if you draft well and you have an obvious need, you put yourself in a much better position, and the less needs you have, the better. Listen, if you're the Rams, yeah, why not expend all draft picks? Who cares? If you can plug in a veteran who's going to produce, who's going to complement your defense and make you a better team, brilliant. Yeah, I definitely think the Rams were obviously already a favorite to win the Super Bowl. I definitely think this is going to put them a step closer, although I still think between the Cardinals and the Bucks and the Packers, and I hate to throw in there the Cowboys, but this helps. This is still no guaranteed thing, though, for the Rams, as good as Matthew Stafford's been.
Yeah, I mean, you just threw out all the real names there. Where do you see the Rams
name dropper?
In?
That's what I do.
I mean, where do you see the Rams fitting in with those teams at the top of the NFC?
I think right now they're probably at the top, but I mean, halfway through, I don't want to commit to anything yet, but this helps. I like the way they're playing, and they obviously got some big games down the stretch, including another game with Arizona where we'll separate the men from the boys.
Yep.
And if I'm doing that, I want Von Miller on my side helping me. That's for sure.
Yeah. Definitely. Zay, where do you see the Rams fitting in atop the NFC? Are they right there? Are they at the top now?
First things first, I asked that we never mention the Braves ever again. When I don't even know why you would bring that up. You know where that hits. I don't even know why you bring that up. But I do think this makes them I think it helps raise the bar. They were already, in my opinion, probably one of the top 3 teams already in the league. So any player that you can help make your team better, I guess that's a great thing. I wish the Giants were thinking like that and got rid of their 2 draft picks and maybe brought in a Von Miller to help our pass rush. But we're not thinking like that. So I think this is a great move for the Rams. Do I think it automatically makes them win? The game's still got to be played, obviously, and we still got to see how it goes down the season. Is Von Miller still hurt? I believe. No, he's not hurt. Excuse me. It was Chubb that was hurt, correct? It was Chubb that was hurt, yeah. Von Miller was hurt last year previously. So, yeah. I mean, hopefully, yeah, you can help him out, be a good bounce back. Like, I don't know what you want me to. I'm not going to sit here and praise the Rams when my team sucks. So, but it's a great move for them. It's hard for me to give some other team kudos while my team's making terrible moves. But yeah, it's a great move for them.
All right, Sean, how you see the Rams in the NFC right now?
I agree. I think they're at the top. I think they're number one. I think it's between them, Cardinals, Cowboys, and Bucks. I would put the Packers in there, but they just lose in the NFC Championship every year anyways, so it doesn't matter even if they get there. But yeah, I mean, this definitely makes this defense even better. I mean, if you put Aaron Donald, Von Miller, and not just them two, but Leonard Floyd on the other side, who's going to be getting a bunch of one-on-ones. Most of them are getting one-on-ones. Maybe Aaron Donald will still get double-teamed in the interior, but they're going to have a lot of pass rushing opportunities. You have Jalen Ramsey and Darius Williams at the back end. I mean, this defense that wasn't the same defense as last year just got a whole lot better. Obviously, their offense is super dynamic with the way that Matthew Stafford is playing. Cooper Kupp looks like the best receiver in football as of right now. So, I mean, this Rams team, I think you have to put them at the top. I mean, until the Buccaneers lose, it's hard to say that. Obviously because they're the reigning champion, but the Rams, I mean, they beat them pretty good when they played, and the Buccaneers, I mean, they have a couple upsetting losses this year, even last week to the Saints. So I think this Bucs team is definitely still right there, but I think I'd give the edge to the Rams, and I don't think I'm going to forget about the Cardinals either, though, because even though they had that tough loss on Thursday night, I still think they're right there. And J.J. Watt, the loss of him definitely hurts, but they still have other good pass rushers with Marcus Golden, Chandler Jones, if he ever decides to show up after week one, would definitely help that team out. So I think it's those three at the top. And then the Cowboys, as much as I hate to say it like Joe, they're a really good team. Their defense has way over exceeded expectations right now, and that offense is lethal. If Dak comes back healthy with no problems with his calf, they're definitely right there too. But I'd put Rams number one after this move.
Damn, I mean, they're definitely up there, but I'm still going to say the NFC East. I mean, the NFC is still pretty open because, I mean, all these teams
it's
at the
definitely
top,
still wide open.
Yeah, all these teams at the top, they haven't really proven all that much. I mean, the Cowboys, they're playing a terrible schedule. They're in the rest of their season, they only have three more teams above 500 to play. So I don't know how good they're actually going to be till it hits playoff time and they're in that environment. The Rams, Matthew Stafford's only won 2 playoff games his whole career. So
on the Lions.
I understand that, but I mean, they still had Ndamukong Suh in his prime and Calvin Johnson, and he could only win 2. So I mean, I get that this is a lot better than what he had, but still, when it comes down to like an NFC Championship game, can you trust him to really make a play, will lead them down the field to score? I don't necessarily know. And then, I mean, the Cardinals, they've been great. I've praised them all season long. That defense has really stepped up. But Kyler Murray's banged up right now, and Cliff Kingsbury, I mean, I feel like they're at the best when Kyler Murray's just out there just throwing the ball, not really listening to the coach. And I mean, he's just a terrible play caller. So I'm not that bad. I'm not that big of a fan of Cliff Kingsbury. I think he can hurt him against some of these top coaches. Like, I don't see they beat the Rams, but in a playoff setting, I don't see Cliff Kingsbury out coaching Sean McVay or LaFleur or Arians. I just don't see that happening. And like you said, Sean, the Packers, Aaron Rodgers is great till it gets to the NFC Championship. So we'll see there. It's still wide open. I still think the Bucs are at the top, even though they struggled last season. They struggled. They had the loss to the Bears. They had the loss to the Saints, and they still came out there. And Tom Brady got everything in check. So I'm just gonna still ride with Tom Brady because I mean there are still, while all these teams are great, there are still flaws, and I think we will see those flaws magnified by 1,000, especially when it gets playoff time. But, I mean, playoff time's a long ways away, but I'm still super excited for it because it's going to be fun. I mean, I feel like this is kind of a shift because, I mean, the past couple seasons we've been talking, how good is the AFC? You got the Bills, the Ravens, the Chiefs, all these teams fighting for the top, and now the NFC's really starting to take a hold of that. So I'm intrigued. It should be fun. But Yeah, that's going to do it. I do think Von Miller is going to help, though. I mean, it's going to be great. I do fear, though, that he played great. He was the defensive player of the month in September, so he's been good. But I mean, if he can stay healthy, I think he can really, really help this team, especially down the line. But I mean, you want to criticize the Giants for all their players being having injuries. I think you can have a similar conversation about Von Miller. So, but we'll see. I'm excited to see the Rams play and see what they can do with Von Miller, because that defense is already one of the best in the league, and you're throwing on Von Miller to it. So, should be interesting. But we're gonna move on to best bets. But first, you got to bet responsibly, and if you need help with that, call JPEX Financial Group.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement that you don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? And how often do you think about it? The team at JPEX Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies, doing the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident with your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website or give us a call at 860-430-5397.
All right, let's get into best bets. First off, I got to apologize to Zay. Last week, I screwed him over. I gave him a loss when he should have had a win. Because, I mean, he texted me the Broncos, or it was +2, the Browns or something like that. He texted me +4, but the actual line was +2. So I got confused.
I said it was +3. Yeah. Whatever, yeah.
All right, but yeah, so, all right. Now, I mean, we all got wins last week. We've been picking it up pretty well. We're all above 500, so good for us. I mean, Sean, you still got that lead, but it's still only a 1-game lead over Joe and Zay, and a 1.5 game lead over myself. So it's close. But all right, let's get into it. And I gotta say, I am flaming hot right now with my bets. Oh. UFC, I killed it last week, and then I had the Giants last week. That made me some money, +10, easy. And then I had a short little parlay on posting up that hit as well. So I'm hot and I'm sticky. I'm gonna stay hot. Browns +2.5. The Odell Beckham news. He just left the team, and because he is a cancer. He's a terrible player. He makes this team worse.
What did Odell do?
He makes this team worse. When he's out on the
video,
listen,
he didn't do nothing this time.
When he's out there, Baker Mayfield, terrible quarterback, just loves to just force him the football. Apparently the Browns' identity is running the football.
According to his father's video, that's the opposite. That's part of the issue.
That's why. That's why he feels like he has to force it to him. Because if it's a play where that Odell doesn't get if it goes like 3 plays and Odell doesn't get a pass towards him, you got complaining and stuff. It's ridiculous. They're a better football team. They don't need wide receivers. You got 2 solid running backs. Just run the football. And the Bengals, you lost to the freaking Jets. That's atrocious. And the Bengals O-line is still bad. They've stepped up in some games. I will say that. But Myles Garrett will eat this O-line up. I just think the Browns get it done. Bengals have played great, but yeah, I just think styles make fights, and the Browns stylistically match up very, very well with the Bengals, especially on the defensive end. I think Myles Garrett's going to eat like 3 sacks at least. So yeah, I have the Browns +2.5, road dogs getting it done against the Bengals. But I will say my original best bet, Sean kind of stole from me. Cardinals -1.5 at the Niners. They're gonna get it done.
They are. This one, it kind of feels like a trap because I feel like the Cardinals should be favored way more than 1.5 against the Niners. Because the Niners, they haven't been impressive this year. I mean, obviously they have a good win against the Bears, but it's the Bears. Who cares? But I mean, the Niners, I haven't been impressed by them. I mean, Deebo Samuel has really been the only bright spot for that team. Jimmy Garoppolo is not the answer there. The defense hasn't been the same ever since that Super Bowl. And the Cardinals, I think they bounced back this week. Obviously, upsetting loss against the Packers. So I think it's going to be a huge bounce back win. And it's getting almost too easy at this point, 6-2. I mean, I know you guys are close, but you could pretty much call this race over. My two losses, Cardinals Titans, the over week 1, lost by 1 point. The other loss, I bet on the Lions, made a mistake, never bet on the Lions again. They suck. So I don't know if I'm going to lose again this year. I'm just riding hot.
Oh shit! All right, but I mean. The Niners, their only wins, the Browns, Eagles, and Lions. None of those are impressive.
The Niners aren't
and
good.
they have yet to win at home this season. So
that's why when I saw this line, I was like, it might be. Same thing with the Chargers, Eagles. I almost picked that, but it seemed too much. But I have trust in the Cardinals. The Niners aren't that good of a team.
Anybody see that Rams Texans BS, by the way?
I bet on the Rams plus 16 or minus 16.5.
Yeah, crazy, huh? How that works out. I tell you right now, to me, the NFL is so shady at times. I've seen that happen so many times, and I'm sorry to say, it really does beg the question. That was a really specific number, and for the Rams to sit there and let the Texans put those points in there and get that game to where it was. I'm just saying that's awfully suspicious. That's not the first time I've seen that happen.
I mean, 16.5 is a big number. I mean, it's hard to beat a team by that much in the NFL. These are all professionals. But speaking of big numbers,
still scoring 22 points in a game as the Texans did. That's a weird thing to do.
22
had they only scored 21 points, you realize it would have covered. Weird.
Yeah,
still weird. I'm telling you right now, though, and I do, as gambling becomes a bigger part of the NFL, I think teams really have to continue to play all the way through the afternoon, because I think you start pulling guys out. I do think you're going to start, and they're getting very cozy with all these gambling sites. It's not a good look for this sport at all. I don't like it.
It happens all the time, even in college football. You take this stuff backdoor covers all the time. But Joe, are the Cowboys gonna get backdoor covered next week? You don't think so?
Big numbers.
They're gonna win by 9.5 points.
Wouldn't that suck?
Yeah, the Cowboys giving 10 to the Broncos. That's great. The Cowboys are playing as well as anybody in the league is right now. So I have every reason to think that this won't be a thing. I think they could probably blow this team up by 15, 18, 20 points.
Wait a minute.
See, I think they can.
That defense is a lot worse than it was yesterday. Would you all agree? That Broncos team?
They just traded away their best player. So, yeah. But I do think if Dak's healthy, this is easy. But, I mean, if Cooper Rush has to come in, I don't think he can rekindle the magic from Sunday night. I'm sorry.
I would put my money on him before I put my money on Matt White or Mike White.
Yes.
Mike White. Matt White's a friend of mine. My bad. Mike White.
Yeah, but, I mean, that's just picking out two of the fattest pigs in the barn. You're gonna be good regardless. But Zay, Steelers 6.5 versus the Bears, Monday night game. I don't know.
Yeah, Steelers obviously one of the best teams in the AFC. They've been quietly consistent. They don't do much. You don't hear much about them, but they're quietly floating under the radar, and they're still winning games here and there. And they'll probably find a way to sneak into the playoffs and get in the playoffs like they always do in a very tough division. But again, they're playing the Bears, and I don't think the Bears really have anything offensively. Defensively, they're okay. I just don't see any way the Steelers can lose. Like I said, I think the Steelers are probably one of the upper echelon teams in the AFC right now. And I just don't see a way for the Steelers to lose to the Bears. I don't see it possible. I don't think the Bears have anything for them. They have nothing at quarterback, receiver. They have nothing at receiver. They have no run game. Khalil Herbert got hurt again. He was really running good for them, but now he's out the game, and there goes my fantasy team again. So now I got to remove things. So, yeah. I don't see the Bears being able to pull this over. No running back, no quarterback, no receivers, basically.
See, I mean, the Bears' defense is still pretty good, so I think it could be.
Najee going to run. You can think of it. He's going to run them apart.
I mean, I don't know. I think this is. I mean, like how, like you wouldn't be surprised if the Giants beat the Raiders. I think the Bears are like the same. Like you count them out, and they just pull like a weird win out of their ass. It makes no sense. But I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't touch this game. It's scary for me. Like the Bears are weird.
I think
the Steelers.
I think Justin Fields' best game was probably last week. And
wait, you're taking the Steelers, giving 6 to the Bears?
Yeah,
awesome.
I think they're going to blow them out.
Should close the gap between you and I.
We'll see.
There is no gap. You're tied.
Oh, well, it should.
You want to get
help me to the top. Hey, let's get to this other thing I'm winning at.
Are you? Yeah, you took the lead from Zay.
Yeah, I think Hopkins with the bet on Thursday. He decided the whole team decided they weren't going to play on Thursday.
Yeah, dude, it's funny. He and Kyler combined for about 16.5 points. That was awesome. That was really great. I had them both in fantasy, as you know, and good time to score almost as many points as Justin Herbert did.
Yeah, I mean, Sean, dude, the running backs are you're doing great with those, brother.
I'm sneaking back in a little bit,
but the running backs have really saved you.
Did Sean miss a week, or did he pick one of your picks from last year, like a Colt McCoy pick? What happened, Sean?
He started off
so far back.
He picked Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I'm a lot closer than you must have been missing the last couple of weeks. I was down like 90 points a couple of weeks ago. Now I'm only down like 50.
Yeah, he just broke 100 like 2 weeks ago. So
who's he been picking? Oh, you're doing all the running backs.
He picked Kenny Galladay.
No, he's been winning with the running backs.
He was doing poorly with the QBs?
QBs, receivers. I picked D-Hop. He got me like 10 points. I picked Stephon Diggs. He got me like 8 points.
Tell me about it. D-Hop only got you 10 points. Tell me about it.
The D-Hop curse. Yeah. It wasn't a rough. It was a rough start. So I'm picking strictly running backs now, and it's been working out. So
yeah, and
gotta keep the trend going
with Austin Eckler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he's only had one down game this year. Obviously, he gets a lot of the receiving work for the Chargers as well as.
Just freezes there. But yeah, I mean, I get what he was saying. I mean, and Justin Herbert's playing great. I mean, the Eagles, they stink. They stink. So yeah, Austin Eckler is a great pick. But Joe, I mean, Stephon Diggs hurt Sean week 1, but you're going with him against the Jags. But you've been terrible against the Jags. I will say that.
I'm glad he had to throw that ball in. He just wasn't going to let you rock.
Because you were targeting the Jags.
I haven't done anything against the Jags, okay? So don't blame me for this.
There was like a 4-week stretch where you just kept targeting them.
Yeah, it was not a good plan. It's not as good as I thought it was going to be. But yeah, look, I think Stephon Diggs has a huge week here against the pretty porous Jaguars secondary that doesn't pressure the quarterback enough. So should be a good day for Mr. Diggs. Also, that running game in Buffalo is still absolute garbage, as I point out each and every week.
Yeah, but against the Jags, both of them might throw up 100.
I bet you Diggs has about 215 yards receiving in this game. Like something.
What? Not unless Mike White's throwing the ball. Not happening. It's not happening.
I mean, I'm with you as far as wide receivers go there, Joe. I got Michael Pittman Jr. against the Jets. Michael Pittman and Carson Wentz really started to click last week against the Titans. The 2 touchdowns were really favoring him through the air. Really started to get it going. And this is a guy I've been watching all year, waiting for him to take that step. Finally took that step last week. And I think he continues to roll against the Jets. And, I mean, you can say all you want about Mike White, but, yeah, I mean, that's going to regress, and the Jets are going to go back to being the Jets. And I think, Michael Pittman's going to put up a lot of points, a couple touchdowns, a lot of yards. And he's going to – and this Jets team is going to make Carson Wentz look like, what was it, 2017, 2016 Carson Wentz when he was in the running for MVP. So, I think Michael Pittman's going to light it up.
So when Carson Wentz is walking out in the second quarter with an injury, what are you going to say?
No, I wouldn't be surprised, but I think either Easton or Ellinger could get Michael Pittman going. But, all right, Zay, you're the only one that picked the quarterback this week. You got Dak.
The return of Dak. Yeah, this hurts to even pick a Cowboy player. But I need a win to get back in the lead, and what better player to do it than a Cowboy player? And Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott obviously has been one of the best quarterbacks in the league when healthy. He obviously has the best receiving core around him. He has a great offensive line. And that run game is finally starting to come back. I'm still not 100% sold on Zeke, but he's starting to make improvements. And he's looking a lot better than Saquon Barkley has for us, so there's not much to complain there. But if everything can click the way it has, Dak Prescott can continue to do what he can do. And in the beginning of the season, we did our preseason fantasy guys, and I said CeeDee Lamb would be a top receiving guy. You guys laughed at me. I mean,
No. You said he's a top 10 receiver in the league.
I said he will be a top 10 receiver. I said last year he didn't have Dak. That's why he was a top 10. I said he will be a top 10 receiver. He's probably 1 right now. But again,
you think he's the top receiver in the league?
No. He's probably he's definitely the top 5 though. He's definitely in the top 5. CeeDee Lamb is definitely a top 5 receiver in my opinion right now. Yeah, Sean, come on, you got to stop the hate, bro.
You're close.
The boy can ball, bro.
He can ball. He's not top 5.
Come on. I don't know about top 10.
I would say he's close to taking Cooper out, and Cooper's the lead dog, right? And I think Cooper's probably was the lead dog there, but I
think he's better than Cooper.
That's for sure.
I don't know why. I just like Lamb. I'm sorry. I feel like he's better. It's just my opinion.
No, he's definitely better than Amari Cooper. I agree with that.
For sure. But, Sean, since you cut out, you want to rehash what you're saying about Austin Eckler?
Yeah, I mean, Austin Eckler going to go off. The Eagles suck against running backs. He's going to get a lot of receptions, a lot of rushing yards, a couple TDs. So the streak of running backs continues, and my boy Austin Eckler going to get it done.
Damn. All right. I like those. I think we all picked pretty well. Should be a fight for who's going to be on top next week. But speaking of next week, that's going to do it for John about the G-Men. And next week is the Giants' bye week. So you know what that means. The bye week awards.
We don't get to cry. Oh, the bye week awards.
Bye week awards. Who is going to be our midseason MVP, Defense Player of the Year, all that jazz, and the most prestigious and illustrious award in all of football, Giant of the Year. Who will be the midseason Giant of the Year?
It's like garbage man of the
year.
year.
Next week, Wednesday at 6. Oh my gosh. Oh, that caught me off guard. But all right. Thank you for Mosquito Shield and JPEX Financial Group for sponsoring today's episode. Make sure you check them out. And if you sign up at Mosquito Shield CT for the spring, you can get a discount by saying John about the G-Men and Clovercrest Media sent you. So make sure you check that out.
Did Sanders just say Thomas? He hasn't played it 2 years.
Hey. No.
Michael Thomas is
that's a conversation for another show. We'll get to it. Don't worry, Zay. We'll get to it. But, for myself, Big Jace, Joe Aguirre, Sean Scanlon, and King Zay, that's going to do it for John about the G-Men. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Peace.
The
The Giants are running New York like the Times as Danny is dropping all sorts of dimes. Saquon's thighs are ruining defenses' lives and Leonard Williams making opposing QBs feel him. Receivers think it's scary to line up across James Bradbury, and the Giants have a bright future led by Coach Judge, Jury, and Executioner. Tune in to Drawing About the G-Men every Wednesday at 6, live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group, and here at CMG we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men, and great true crime shows like Stinky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Burn, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting ClovercrestMedia.com.